body?
He's dead. He's in his bedroom.
Okay.
In the shower.
Okay. How did this happen? Do you have any idea?
No, we have no idea. Everyone's been wondering about him for a few days.
She said that there was blood. So is it coming from his head? Did he cut
No,
his wrist?
it's all over.
It began with a frantic phone call to a 911 dispatcher in Mesa, Arizona. A group of worried friends had just stepped inside a beautiful suburban home, only to find a scene straight out of a nightmare. There was blood smeared across the hallway, pooling on the bathroom tiles, and propped up inside the shower was the lifeless body of 30-year-old Travis Alexander. The scene was shockingly brutal: 27 stab wounds, a slit throat from ear to ear, and a gunshot wound directly to the forehead. Investigators instantly knew this wasn't a standard break-in. This was a crime fueled by pure, unadulterated rage. It was deeply personal. Who could have committed such a heinous act? At the absolute center of this mystery was a beautiful young photographer named Jodi Arias. To police, she was a grieving ex-girlfriend, but Travis's friends saw the terrifying red flags of a stalker. Jodi had slashed his tires, shown up uninvited, and even crawled through his doggy door. The toxicity was so extreme that one friend had openly warned Travis, "I'm afraid we're going to find you dead in her freezer." They had no idea how close they were to the truth. This is the case of Travis Alexander. Our story takes us to Mesa, Arizona. Located in the shadow of Phoenix, Mesa is a sprawling, sun-baked city in the desert valley. Historically quiet, it grew rapidly into a hub of young professionals, families, and close-knit communities. While Mesa experienced its share of property crimes and typical suburban offenses, a brutal crime of passion was almost unheard of in this deeply religious community. This was the clean-cut environment where Travis Alexander had built his dream life, hoping to leave behind a chaotic past. Born in July 1976 in Southern California, Travis Alexander did not have an easy start. He grew up in a chaotic household with parents struggling with severe drug abuse. Eventually, he and his siblings were rescued by their grandparents, who introduced him to the Mormon faith. Travis took to the church with absolute devotion. As he grew, he became a charismatic motivational speaker, a successful sales manager, and a local role model who drove buses for children and the elderly.
What's certain is we don't know what day is our final day here on this earth. But what is certain is that tomorrow is one day closer.
He was determined to live a life of high moral standing, but he carried deep-seated vulnerabilities. Then, in September 2006, Travis attended a business conference in Las Vegas. That was where he met Jodi Arias. Born in 1980 in Eureka, California, Jodi was the oldest of 4 children raised in a seemingly normal home in Eureka, California. Her parents worked hard to provide a stable life, but as Jodi entered her teenage years, a quiet, rebellious streak began to emerge, putting a strain on the family. And she soon dropped out of high school. She floated from job to job, desperately seeking stability and success. When she met Travis in Las Vegas, she saw a man who had everything she wanted. The chemistry between Travis and Jodi was immediate and explosive. To Jodi, Travis was a handsome, stable, and dynamic bachelor. To Travis, Jodi was gorgeous, exciting, and deeply attentive. They began dating almost instantly, but from the very beginning, there was a fundamental disconnect. Travis was a devout Mormon, striving to adhere to a strict code of abstinence before marriage. Jodi, however, did not share these boundaries. Their connection quickly evolved into a highly passionate, intensely physical relationship, one that would soon throw Travis into a deep spiral of personal guilt. Mormon teachings place high value on keeping personal journals, and Travis did so publicly through a personal blog. In his writings, he was incredibly candid about his struggles. He wrote about his childhood obstacles, but he also confessed to something that tortured his conscience. He was actively betraying his religious covenants. He admitted to crossing lines and engaging in premarital sex. Despite his guilt, he found himself unable to pull away from Jodi. They maintained a long-distance relationship, meeting in hotels between California and Arizona, bound by an addictive physical connection. As the months rolled on, the cracks in the relationship began to widen. Travis knew that Jodi was not the woman he wanted to marry. He wanted a partner who shared his faith, his moral values, and his long-term lifestyle. Jodi, meanwhile, wanted nothing more than to be Travis's wife. She even converted to the LDS Church and was baptized, largely under Travis's influence. Yet, the core nature of their relationship didn't change. Travis felt that as long as they were together, he was living a lie. By early 2007, he made the decision to end it, but breaking up with Jodi Arias was not that simple. Even after their official split, they remained locked in a destructive cycle. They continued to text, to talk, and to meet for secret sexual encounters. Jodi was unwilling to let him go, and Travis found himself continually succumbing to temptation. He was living a double life, telling his friends and his church community that he was single and moving forward, while secretly remaining bound to Jodi. He had no idea that his inability to cut ties completely was setting a deadly trap. Hoping to close the distance, Jodi packed up her life in California and moved directly to Mesa, Arizona. She rented a local room, claiming it was for her career, but the reality was clear. She was centering her entire existence around him. Despite their official breakup, she used her knowledge of his house codes to enter his home unannounced. When Travis changed the security codes to keep her out, she resorted to climbing through his doggy door. Her obsession was reaching a dangerous, feverish peak. To those close to Travis, Jodi was no longer just an ex-girlfriend, she was a stalker. Travis's friends began noticing bizarre occurrences. Tires on Travis's car were slashed on multiple occasions, and though there was no direct proof, everyone strongly suspected Jodi. She would show up at his social gatherings uninvited, standing in the corners and watching him. Travis confessed to friends that he was becoming genuinely concerned for his safety, admitting that he was dealing with someone who was highly manipulative and emotionally volatile. Yet, he still underestimated what she was capable of. Recognizing that the situation in Mesa had become entirely toxic, Travis made another push to distance himself. After months of friction, Jodi finally decided to pack up and move back to California, returning to her family's home in Eureka. Travis was ecstatic. He expressed immense relief to his friends, feeling as though a massive weight had finally been lifted from his shoulders. He believed he could finally clean up his life, focus on his faith, and find a healthy relationship. But he was severely discounting the mind of a narcissist. The true catalyst for the tragedy occurred in the spring of 2008. Travis's company hosted an annual trip, and this year, the destination was Cancun, Mexico. In previous years, Jodi had accompanied him, but this time, Travis was planning to go with another woman, a new love interest named Lisa. When Jodi found out she had been replaced, and that Travis was moving on with another woman in such a public way, her jealousy reached a boiling point. The thought of Travis belonging to someone else was intolerable. She began spiraling into a dark, calculated rage. A poisonous triangle had formed. On one side was Travis and Lisa, planning their future and looking forward to their trip. On the outside was Jodi, furious and rejected. She began making tense, confrontational phone calls, arguing with Travis and trying to insert herself back into his thoughts. Travis's brother would later describe Jodi as Travis's kryptonite, the one vulnerability that could systematically break down his resolve. Driven by rejection, Jodi's thoughts turned from frustration to a cold, systematic plan. Jodi's preparation for her trip to Arizona was highly meticulous. She visited her ex-boyfriend in California and borrowed several gas cans, claiming she needed them for a long road trip to Utah to visit another man. But investigators would later realize the true purpose of those cans. Jodi wanted to drive to Mesa, Arizona, see Travis, and leave without leaving a paper trail. By filling the gas cans in California and Utah, she avoided using her credit cards or appearing on surveillance cameras at gas stations anywhere near Travis's home. She was planning an alibi. On June 4, 2008, Jodi arrived at Travis's home in Mesa. What followed was a bizarre and intense encounter. Despite their volatile history, the two engaged in a passionate, hours-long rendezvous. They took numerous photographs of each other, showcasing an intimate, highly charged reunion. To Travis, this may have been a final, amicable breakup session, but to Jodi, it was the final stage of her plan. As Travis went to take a shower in his master bathroom, Jodi prepared to execute the final act. While Travis was in the shower, the attack began. It was a whirlwind of absolute brutality. Travis fought back fiercely, leaving defensive wounds on his hands and arms as he struggled against his attacker. He was stabbed repeatedly, 27 times in total, across his back, chest and neck. His throat was slit so deeply that it severed his larynx and carotid artery. Finally, he was shot in the forehead with a .25 caliber gun. The sheer savagery of the crime left no doubt that the killer wanted to completely erase him. After the murder, Jodi set to work covering her tracks. She dragged Travis's body back into the shower, attempted to clean the blood from the bathroom, and dumped his digital camera into the washing machine, hoping the soapy water would destroy the memory card. She then fled the scene in her rental car, driving to Salt Lake City, Utah, to meet her new love interest. Along the way, she dyed her hair from blonde to brown, and when she arrived, she claimed the deep cuts on her hands were from an accident at work. She returned the rental car after putting nearly 3,000 miles on it. To solidify her alibi, Jodi began executing a series of calculated steps. She placed multiple voicemail messages on Travis's phone, acting as if she had no idea where he was, asking him how his trip preparation was going. When Travis's body was finally discovered by his roommates 5 days later, this was their conversation with the police.
911 emergency?
Hi, this is AJ with the transfer. She's calling from 1. Ma'am, is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, that's 1 in Mesa.
Yes.
Okay, what's going on?
What?
What's going on?
A friend of ours is dead in his bedroom. We hadn't heard from him for a while. We think he's dead. His roommate just went in there and said there's lots of blood. I didn't go in, but I can give you the phone to someone who went in there.
Yes, please, can you?
Hello.
Hi, so what's going on?
He's dead. He's in his bedroom.
Okay.
In the shower.
Okay, how did this happen? Do you have any idea?
No, we have no idea. Everyone's been wondering about him for
Okay, well,
a few days.
she said that there was blood, so is it coming from his head? Did he cut
No,
his wrist?
it's all over the place.
Hold on just a moment. Okay, you're a good friend of Travis's, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Yeah.
has he been depressed at all? Thinking about
Yeah.
committing suicide, anything like that?
I don't think he's been thinking he committed suicide. He's been really depressed because he broke up with this girl, and he was all upset about that. But I don't think he would actually kill himself over that.
Has he been threatened by anyone recently?
Yes, he has.
Okay.
He has an ex-girlfriend that's been bothering him and following him and slashing tires and things like that.
And do you know the ex-girlfriend's name?
Do you remember it? Yeah. What's his ex-girlfriend's name? Ask Taylor. Her name is Jodi.
When Jodi heard the news, she immediately contacted the Mesa Police Department herself. She offered her assistance, crying and claiming to be a devastated friend. But her act did not fool Travis's inner circle. They immediately told detectives to look at Jodi Arias. When detectives brought Jodi in for questioning, they were struck by her bizarre, detached demeanor. She giggled, flirted with the investigators, and even performed headstands in the interrogation room when left alone. When confronted with the murder, she spun her first major lie. She claimed she wasn't even in Arizona on the day of the murder.
I don't think you would admit to it if your own mother saw you do this, and she told me, yeah, I saw her do this. You would say, no, it wasn't me. Why won't you admit to it?
I just can't. I didn't kill Travis. I just didn't. I did not take his life.
Did you have anything to do with the death of Travis?
I don't think I had anything directly to do with it, but I feel responsible somewhat for it.
She insisted she had driven straight to Utah, bypassing Mesa entirely, but forensics was about to shatter her fabricated reality. Forensic technicians managed to recover the deleted photos from the digital camera found in Travis's washing machine. The data on the card was a goldmine. It contained time-stamped photos of Travis and Jodi in bed on the afternoon of June 4. More chillingly, it contained photos accidentally snapped during the struggle itself, including a shot of Travis's bloody neck and a silhouette of Jodi's leg. Faced with the forensic evidence, Jodi changed her story. She now claimed that two masked intruders had broken into Travis's house, attacked him, and threatened her life, forcing her to run and hide. But detectives easily saw through the far-fetched tale. Finally, Jodi moved to her third and final defense. She admitted to killing Travis, but claimed it was an act of self-defense. She painted Travis as a physically and emotionally abusive partner who had snapped at her. Her defense team prepared to take this narrative into a highly publicized capital murder trial. The trial of Jodi Arias, which began in 2013, became an international media sensation. Broadcast live on television, it drew millions of viewers who watched in disbelief as Jodi took the stand for an unprecedented 18 days. She wore glasses and conservative clothing, presenting herself as a timid victim. But the prosecution systematically tore her testimony apart, presenting emails, text messages, and the missing gun from her family home that matched the casings at the crime scene. The trial exposed the vast depths of her manipulation. On May 8, 2013, the jury found Jodi Arias guilty of first-degree murder. However, the sentencing phase would drag on for months. Two separate juries deadlock on whether she should receive the death penalty. Under Arizona law, after two hung juries, the death penalty was taken off the table. The judge ultimately sentenced Jodi to natural life in prison without the possibility of parole. The case of Travis Alexander remains a chilling reminder of the destructive power of obsession, a tragedy born of jealousy, lived in secret, and ended in absolute brutality.